Sexual violence matters. Sexual violence is important. It's a scourge in our society, and it needs to be identified and ended in every instance. Nobody believes this more than Tay Anderson. Nobody. Honoring the victims of sexual violence is important. So too is holding those responsible for it accountable. This is precisely why we must be careful in times like this to assure that volatile allegations do not eclipse the truth, that media cycles don't crush good people, and that anonymous claims don't ruin lives, black, white, male, or female. Mr. Anderson has hired me to assure that, however possible, these allegations will be handled fairly, transparently, and openly. Tay fears nothing except a false narrative and unchecked assertions. He asks only that which any of us would: fairness and responsibility amid valid concerns which have arisen. He asks for fundamental fairness in handling serious and important allegations. He knows that if he's given these, the truth will be known. It's important to bear in mind that Tay has welcomed any responsible investigation, any questions. He wants to look into these hurtful allegations. He wants to understand why. He will continually make himself available to discuss any specific allegation that arises. He has asked, given the inflammatory nature of these types of allegations, that all media requests be addressed to Ms. Tiffany Caudle, his staff assistant. What we know is the following. Anonymous allegations were raised by Black Lives Matter 5280 on Friday. Along with these allegations came a demand for Mr. Anderson to admit what has still not been detailed or explained. A demand for admission to unexplained allegations. In part because of Mr. Anderson's high profile and his participation in various matters of social importance and public interest, a hungry media has run away with these anonymous assertions, first made Friday by Black Lives Matter 5280, anonymous. Yesterday, the media cycle ramped up, and, as is common in this type of situation, new assertions from others have appeared. Specifically, the Denver Post ran an article claiming that members of the Never Again Colorado organization say Mr. Anderson engaged in sexual misconduct. This too is false and without any basis in fact or truth. A woman named Madison Rose is the only person from either Black Lives Matter 5280 or Never Again Colorado to have come forward and made statements of impropriety. Madison Rose is an opportunist. She has previously made false allegations that were demonstrably false against Mr. Anderson back in October of 2018. Specifically, she raised claims of financial mismanagement and workplace harassment. These allegations were fully investigated and disproven when raised. Yesterday, Madison Rose chose to weaponize an already volatile media situation and to again make false allegations against Mr. Anderson. Today, we are releasing several statements from former board members who worked with Ms. Rose and Mr. Anderson at Never Again Colorado. These statements unequivocally refute Ms. Rose's assertions of sexual improprieties. Simply stated, They did not happen. We expect many more men and women of all races, colors, and orientations to be coming forward soon regarding Mr. Anderson's true character. We do not expect that this scrutiny will simply blow over or go away. These are important matters involving a public figure and a community leader. We get it. We get it. We understand why you have gathered, why people care. We want the same answers you do, and we will do everything we can to get them to you quickly, honestly, and thoroughly. You should know, currently, there are no formal criminal, civil, or even administrative investigations underway. While we welcome them, it's important to note this is all a creature of the media at this point. Should any investigation begin, we will fully cooperate without hesitation or limit. Mr. Anderson will continue to answer all the questions. He will continue to cooperate with any investigation, and he knows that the truth will exonerate him of wrongdoing. False allegations fear exposure and inquiry. They do not survive in the light of investigation, and they cannot exist in an environment of truth and responsibility. On behalf of Mr. Anderson, I ask only for your fairness and responsibility in reporting these matters of public interest. Thank you. Now, LJ, would you like to come up? You're not able to today. Okay, I understand. Thanks for being here. Tay?
Thank you, Chris. And first, I want to start with saying that I take these allegations very seriously. And I'm fully committed to cooperating on any investigation or inquiry resulting from these accusations. I want to thank everyone for being here, from community members to my family, and to the mother of my soon-to-be beautiful baby boy, Khalil. I stand here today with my family as a son of a single mother who is a survivor of sexual assault, and a family that knows the struggles firsthand on what it means to be Black in America, but also, in my mother's case, be Black and a survivor in today's America. Today, I am not here to discredit or invalidate one's experience. I am simply asking for a fair process and finding the best path to understand what actions I may have done to cause any harm. I stand by my statement from yesterday. I have not sexually assaulted anyone, and I am not aware of a situation that can be construed as sexual assault. And I want to ensure that I and others have a fair, transparent, and truly restorative process, and I want the voices of these people to be heard. I have witnessed the pain in our community caused by a series of social media posts about the events that have unfolded over the last few days, and it breaks my heart to see folks that I have considered family and friends go after each other on social media because they are awaiting the facts on what I have been accused of, and I know that we can do better than this. When I ran for the Denver School Board, I wanted to uplift community, not tear it apart. And in less than 50 days, I myself will become a father, and I want my son to be able to look up to his dad, not be ashamed of him. Our communities deserve leaders that they can trust. And right now, I'm truly looking forward to building back that trust in the coming days and weeks with the members of the Denver community. Thank you.
Okay. Wanda, would you like to come up and make a statement? Would you stand up and say your full name so everyone knows you?
Sure. Hi. Wanda James, WandaJames. When we look at what's important in this place of which the community is being asked to make judgments, I think we need to understand exactly what is being asked, clarity on who is making accusations, clarity on what those accusations are. I don't believe that anybody in this community is looking to not completely understand all of the situations. But the biggest issue is that words are being weaponized against what this community stands for. And that's the biggest issue that we have facing Black and brown America right now. We do not want to see words or people weaponized. Judging on or having judgments happen on social media and on Facebook and on Twitter is not the way that something so sensitive should be handled in a world of Me Too, in a world of racial division. This is not what we should be doing and how we should be doing it. So at this point, I believe we would like to have community conversations to make sure that everybody's voice is heard. And what we're not going to do is weaponize words about destroying what this community has worked so hard to stand up for. So we are asking for a time of reflection and a time for conversation. And I believe that we need to be fair and equitable in what we are talking about, and we should not be using these words as a weapon for personal vendettas. And so we stand behind Tay, and we look forward to his next 50 days of becoming a father and continually to stand up for the things that we believe in for school reform. So everybody, please take a step back. Let's do this the right way. This is what this is about.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure if there are questions that we may be able to address. We'd like to try our best to do that.
Director Anderson, these are anonymous allegations that, as far as the public has known, at least on the Facebook posts and press releases that they've sent out, have not had any specifics detailed. Are you asking for that to come to light and say, where are you getting this from? Who is making these allegations? Do you know?
I do not know, and I learned about this press release at the same time everybody in the rest of this world did. I didn't get I have had no contact with Black Lives Matter 5280 about this, and I'm very concerned that for over a month, individuals knew about this and didn't say anything. And I'm looking forward to learning more about these allegations. As I said before, I have not sexually assaulted anyone.
And as far as you know as much about the alleged allegations as the rest of the public knows. You don't know any specifics beyond that.
No, I have no specifics beyond that, and I, just like the rest of our Denver community, am awaiting more specifics because I want to know how we can be able to start truly doing that restorative process.
Fox 31. You're talking about the right way to go about this process. What would that look like? What is the right way, in your opinion, to go about this process?
If I have broken the law, then I must be accountable to it just like any other citizen. I am not above the law, and that is why I do not currently believe in the practices of admitting to wrong when you don't even know what you did was wrong. And that's why I'm standing back and just awaiting more information, just like the rest of you. Because if I truly have done something wrong, I am open to going through the process and making sure that whatever agency needs to investigate has my full cooperation and my entire team's cooperation to making sure that the truth comes out.
Because as of right now, there are no police reports, correct?
The Denver police have no police reports. The Denver Public Schools has no reports to them. And so right now we are all in a bind because there are people that want DPS to take action, and DPS issued a statement saying the elected officials are at the will of the voters. And right now we are all awaiting more information as nobody has come forward to the Denver Public Schools.
Do you view this as a hit on you personally? I mean, you've become a very well-known activist and school board member over the past year. Do you view this as a personal attack on you?
Well, let me step in. These are highly personal allegations, and speculating why something may be arisen when you don't even know what it is or where it's coming from, I don't think that's responsible, and I think that's just asking too much for Mr. Anderson, Director Anderson. I would tell you that they sure feel personal, they sure do hurt, and back to your other question, we welcome any investigation. Reached out to the Denver police, as Tay said, DPS. There's no Title IX, there's no civil claim, there's nothing except media reports, and those are scary. That's why we want to be here. We want to be transparent and try to get out front of at least the dialogue, which is we're not hiding anything, we don't know anything more than you do, and we're fully prepared to cooperate.
You've called these allegations false, and specifically from unwanted compliments to unwanted touching to unwanted sexual advances. That's what's been told to the Post. If these are false allegations, why would these women lie about what happened to them?
Well, you're telling me that allegations were made to the Denver Post. I don't know the details of those, and you've also talked about a continuum of sexual violence, from forcible rape to unwanted comments. We don't know what these are coming from. And Tay has told you very honestly, he hasn't committed any crimes, and he's not aware of any situation that could even have been construed as something either unwanted sexually or unwanted or inappropriate. So you're asking me why someone would lie about something we don't know. You would probably want to ask them, or in order for me to answer that, or Tay to answer that, who is it, what have they said, and then perhaps we could answer that. But until we know that, it's just, fighting a shadow of an accusation. There's no substance to it. Perhaps you could tell me more, and we could start a dialogue. I don't know.
Just in this climate right now, perhaps some people don't feel safe going to police, the authorities, and I know you've worked with the group before, or at least supported them. What do you say to that? Just an unusual circumstance here that perhaps these people felt as if they had to go to BLM 5280.
Yeah, I want to be very clear. I have never been a member with Black Lives Matter 5280. I have organized in my own space and with different various groups. And, I'm not sure why one felt as if they did not want to go to the proper authorities, because as much as we cried out in the streets about the former president not being above the law, I am not above the law here in Denver, Colorado, and I must be held accountable if I have done something wrong. And that's what I'm asking for, is that if I've done something wrong, then we need to take action. Parents should be able to sleep comfortably at night knowing that on their school board, that there are honest men and women and non-binary folks that exist in that space. But right now, parents are confused about what they've heard on social media, and it's only been ruled by different dialogue on Twitter.
I would add that, and I know I speak for Tay when I say this, victims of sexual violence are not compelled to come forward at any particular time frame, to any particular person, or for any particular reason. That type of victimization is very personal, and we know from when we study victimization and look at it that people handle it differently. So again, we're talking about people who we don't even know we're talking about. What's concerning is that someone who would want to remain anonymous would be tagged with a very public Black Lives Matter position. That doesn't seem to make sense. If someone has been victimized and they're wrestling with it and they perhaps want to approach Mr. Anderson, not in the public forum, either to ask for an explanation for why something happened or didn't happen, or perhaps to even raise very serious allegations, that they're free to do that. But nobody came to him. He read about this on the media, and Black Lives Matter 5280 has issued no subsequent statement, either articulating any particulars or timeframes or anything. So it's impossible for us to answer those. But I wanted to just make sure that you understood that, Tay's not blaming any victim for not coming forward either sooner or vehemently enough. He doesn't know what's going on. And however someone has processed their path is their own.
Can you talk about your relationship with BLM 5280? Have you ever worked for them, friendly with the leaders, anything like that?
I have never worked for or been actually a member of Black Lives Matter 5280. I have definitely collaborated in several different spaces with them. I think definitely in activism, we definitely feel as they're overstepping, and I know that I probably have done that multiple times, and I know other organizers do that at times, and I think that's where definitely there has begun a rift, because that is something that did happen in January, where one of our elders in our community had a Black Lives Matter sign, and I was called in along with Brother Jeff and other community members to come into the community and to deliver signs. But that wasn't well responded from other individuals in our community that are a part of Black Lives Matter 5280, and I'm not sure if that rift in the relationship would have halted any sort of communication for me to know about these very serious allegations that came to them in late February. Yes.
Tay, you said you first heard and read about these allegations through the media. What was that platform exactly and when?
Yeah, I was actually picking up LJ to take her to the store, and I just happened to be sitting in her driveway and opened Twitter and got notifications, and I just couldn't believe what was going on, because it was the first time that I have heard of it. And since then, I can definitely say, this has been a difficult 72 hours. I don't feel safe being at home. I don't, because my address has been posted. I have been called racial slurs and, very demeaning names. And I just want to be able to know the truth. And if there is something I did, then of course I would take accountability. I wouldn't run from it. All I just want to know is, what are we all trying to figure out? What is that missing piece? And right now I shouldn't be afraid, one, for me to go home, or for my mother to be able to sleep comfortably at home. This has just been a very scary situation, knowing that even in the last week before receiving this allegation, Denver police were investigating credible death threats for me. And so this is definitely hard, and I want everybody to hear this from me. Is like, I just want to be safe and just want to know the truth.
Director Anderson, we've been speaking in generalities in terms of not knowing exactly what's going on or who we're talking to. The person who may have alleged this against you is potentially watching or will see what's taking place here. What message do you have to that person directly who may be watching this?
If I have overstepped or have hurt anyone, I deeply apologize. I want to take accountability, but I can't begin that accountability process until I know what I'm being accused of. I can't begin that accountability process until I know who I'm being accused of. Even when we go through the court of law, I still have the ability to know what's being brought forward and by who. And I don't want anybody to feel unsafe, and I don't believe anybody should have to come to me to say, this is what you've done. But I also believe in order for me to repair the harm that's been done, I have to know what I have actually done and not just a broad allegation of this has happened. Because right now, there's a wide ranging of issues because people are trying to figure out, what does sexual assault mean? And that's not okay.
Can you talk about the letter from Never Again, Colorado? Did you get that letter in 2018, and how did you respond?
Yes, I received the letter in 2018, and I was very troubled by it because this is the first time that I have heard of any of these sorts of accusations. Prior to the letter, our group had a very public discord, especially within leadership. I was duly elected in March as an 18-year-old, fresh out of high school, to serve as the president of Never Again after the wake of the Parkland shooting. And after that, we did several events like the March for Our Lives event, went to Washington, D.C., and had very social interactions with each other. Definitely, we all blurred the lines of being both on this nonprofit board and both being friends at the same time. And the drama has definitely overspilled, and there are individuals that wanted to have been very public and wanting to be in charge of this organization because they did not trust my leadership, or they did not believe that I could be the most effective leader, and that's okay. People can have different opinions. But I know that when these allegations were brought to the Denver Post in 2018 and these questions were raised, we never had a question raised about sexual misconduct on my part whatsoever. However, we were raised on financial mismanagement under my tenure, and did we handle the reporting of sexual harassment among another member and another member correctly. We hired an independent investigator, and that found out that we held everything, we did everything correctly. All of our receipts matched, and we went from there, and the Denver Post did not run that story. And so that's where we're at today. And now we have individuals from the former board that are coming out and saying this never happened. Now up to 3 members and growing that have now issued and will be making their public statements soon that this did not happen, that they did not witness any of the actions that I'm being accused of happen, and that the person who is alleging this definitely went out and is seeking to cause harm than rather do restorative work.
So the letter there were no accusations against you, that's what you're saying?
I'm not sure if in the letter there was a lot of accusations, and also the way that folks, when they read it, they did not believe that some of those in the letter actually applied to me, but more general, that these things had actually happened in the organization and that I allowed it to happen under my leadership.
Yeah, and to the extent Tay was implicated in the letter, that was investigated. In my comments, I said that the nature of those allegations were in the realm of financial mismanagement and handling complaints. And as he's just pointed out, at no time was there any type of allegation of sexual violence or impropriety along this vast spectrum.